Greetings all! Today we will be examining the rare normal-type Pokemon Munchlax, the Big Eater Pokémon, and its exceptionally rare evolution Snorlax, the Sleeping Pokémon. Though they might look cute and cuddly and nothing to worry about, the members of the Munchlax family are powerful mammals that can more than use their bulk to take and dish out damage as needed in battle.
Munchlax have short, portly bodies with shaggy bluish-green fur covering most of their form, save for a spot of beige fur near the base of their neck and a layer of it covering the lower half of their face. They walk on beige feet with 3 sharp whitish claws each and a brown pad on the bottom, and their face is noted for their pinprick black eyes and fanged maw, as well as the 2 large conical ears attached to the top of their head. Their evolved form, Snorlax, have a similar body color and foot structure, but their entire belly area is now massive in size and beige in color, and their arms have grown enough that a series of 5 stubby, sharp claws can be seen at the ends of their hands, the digits otherwise hidden under their thick fur. Their lower canines now protrude up over the front of their mouth, and their entire face is beige with a widow's peak at the top, their ears more opposite to the sides of their head, while their eyes stay perpetually closed. Additionally, these creatures have access to a Gigantamax form, in which they grow immensely in size as numerous pebbles on their body are equally grown to massive sizes, and seeds stuck in their form fully mature into bushes and a giant berry tree that lays on their belly, forcing them to stay on their back while in this state. The members of the Munchlax family are noteworthy among Pokemon for not just the fact that their family is heavily skewed towards males, with a male-to-female ratio of the family being 7:1, but more importantly, their exceptional size and weight. As while they might not top out as the heaviest of all known Pokemon, their forms are certainly up there, and definitely dwarf that of almost any other mammalian Pokemon known, only being outdone in that department by Mudsdale.
Even at a young age, these creatures, without any metal components, weigh hundreds of pounds as babies in the form of Munchlax, which completely betrays their otherwise short stature and makes them a pain to have to control if they get angry and go on a rampage, and they have the physical strength needed to be surprisingly difficult to handle and control in a lot of cases.
Thankfully for most, these beasts tend to spend a great deal of time sleeping, especially as Snorlax, and thus rarely ever prove to be a problem where outrages are always something to fear. Waking them can often be difficult, however, so while they might always prove to be an offensive threat in battle, they can oftentimes be a severe roadblock and prevent others from accessing pathways and locations in general if they decide to plop down and take a very, very long nap in an otherwise narrow area. Added on to this, these creatures are extreme gluttons and can consume vast quantities of food in a very short period of time, close to 900 pounds of food at once in the case of Snorlax, so taking care of them is an extreme chore and can often make them some of the most difficult Pokemon to take care of if they are not allowed to feed regularly, oftentimes making it a necessity to keep them where large volumes of food are stored so as to keep their fatty bodies in good health.
Not surprisingly, their eating habits and fat-laden bodies allow these creatures to have thick fat as a base ability and gluttony as a hidden ability if the appetite is particularly strong. But there are some differences between the members of this family, as while Munchlax and their tendency to pick up and store food in their fur can allow them to have pickup as a base ability, Snorlax and their penchant for being able to eat and digest almost anything without ever getting sick can instead allow them to have immunity as a base ability.
As far as their stats are concerned, in the case of Snorlax, these creatures possess an immense degree of bulk to their bodies and are not only able to take hits very well thanks to their incredible amount of stamina, but can also dish it back out physically and can use their blubbery bodies as a great shield against energy-based attacks, so their base HP, attack, and special defense stats are all above average for a fully evolved normal-type Pokemon. Their bodies are still quite soft though, and they are unable to move very quickly with their bulk or take physical damage very well, so the rest of their base stats are below average. Regardless, these massive mammals can take quite a beating and put up a fight when push comes to shove, though it may sometimes be difficult to get them moving once they've laid down to take a rest. Munchlax normally shouldn't exist in the wild on account of being a mutation of traditional Snorlax, but they do exist as a consequence of Snorlax breeding while in the presence of a full incense, creating a smaller version of themselves that is not quite as powerful and lacks access to many of the moves learned by their bulkier evolved form, but otherwise are deceptively powerful for a baby Pokemon. In fact, Munchlax learn many moves that Snorlax cannot usually get access to without some form of artificial assistance, so they can still be of some use when raising one of these behemoths, even if they might only be able to fully evolve when they feel an incredibly strong bond of friendship with their trainers, though it is noted that they won't get access to the Yawn, Rest, Snore, Sleep Talk, Block, Crunch, Heavy Slam, High Horsepower, Hammer Arm, Belch, and Giga Impact moves until they evolve. Unlike their evolved form, Munchlax are actually fairly active creatures and show a surprising degree of wit and intelligence when presented the proper opportunity, allowing them to plan out advanced tactics that other baby Pokémon simply don't have the stats and moves needed to pull off, though this only serves to belittle the most notable attribute when at its peak, which is their appetite. As it turns out, Munchlax are effectively born with the non-human equivalent of Prader-Willi syndrome and are unable to register being full because their brains are damaged in such a way as to prevent signals coming from the stomach from reaching the brain, in turn making these small beasts permanently hungry to the point where eating their own weight in food every day is barely enough to satiate them. Instead of controlling their condition, however, Munchlax use it to their utmost advantage and swallow whole almost anything edible they can find without ever bothering to chew it up, additionally showing complete indifference to taste and helping to explain the rapid weight gain that comes with their aging process.
In fact, these creatures are so desperate to fill their bellies that they will devour rotten food with little fuss, and even store large quantities of food in their fur for emergency rations. But because they are always hungry, they will often go out and eat more food without ever remembering the food that they actually have stored in their fur, only being reminded of it when it begins to stink.
Despite their otherwise lethargic lifestyle, Munchlax will do just about anything to get a hold of food and have been witnessed to run as fast as several miles per hour just to catch some food that they spy in the distance, and will only ever share a bit of their food if they really trust someone. This insatiable hunger will never cease until these creatures manage to evolve, but even so, their condition can be controlled with a proper diet regimen and training, and is not a completely daunting task that no trainer can overcome. When Munchlax manage to evolve into Snorlax, sleep becomes the dominant force in their life, as these creatures earn the species title the Sleeping Pokémon for a reason. These creatures spend excessive amounts of time sleeping and are not easy to wake, as even children bouncing up and down on the rubbery fat gut that makes up their entire torso are not enough to wake them from their slumber. Not even attacking them is often enough to get them to wake up, as most physical attacks do little to sap their energy while asleep, and special attacks have been known to bounce right off of them in some cases.
This immense penchant for sleeping can make them almost impossible to get rid of if they are in the way, and while it is known that they readily respond to music played on Pokeflutes, getting a hold of one of these items is likely to prove a daunting task.
Thankfully, while awake, these creatures are quite docile and enjoy the company of others to play with, their tameness being a welcome pleasure in instances where they are not blocking access to a location while asleep. However, Snorlax should not be awakened too harshly, as they tend to be incredibly grumpy if they are disturbed before they have the chance to wake up peacefully, and will strike back with extreme force if provoked in this manner, as seen in the signature Z move, Pulverizing Pancake. When these creatures are awake, they almost exclusively spend their time eating, and do so to excess until their massive stomachs are completely full. Not only are they able to eat vast quantities in one sitting, but more importantly, their stomach acids and antibodies are so strong that they can digest and neutralize any toxin that might enter their systems, so even rotten or moldy food is no match for them. Not even muck sludge comes across as anything more than a hint of spice to their bodies and taste buds. These beasts will continue to eat and eat until they grow so full and lethargic that they cease being able to move that well and promptly fall asleep, but may continue to eat even after this, showing their extreme biological dedication to gluttony. Since their bodies digest their food slowly, Snorlax can go for long periods of time without eating, which is a blessing to those that have to deal with their excessive eating regularly, though this is not to say that their stomach is always happy. As it turns out, it is believed by many that the cries these creatures make while asleep are actually just the sounds of their stomachs grumbling. As these creatures eat, they grow on a constant basis, their stomach gradually getting fatter and fatter as they grow increasingly lethargic from it. This can make them increasingly hard to handle and train, but at the same time, it also amplifies the power of their physical attacks, Body Slam especially, and in turn helps these monsters grow even more powerful and difficult to take down the larger and heavier they become. It is lastly noted that Snorlax is one of only a select number of Pokemon capable of possessing the Gigantamax factor, and in turn can take on a unique Gigantamax form when Dynamaxed. In this form, these creatures, as noted already, are not directly altered to an extreme extent themselves, but the rocks and seeds that are stuck in their fur are made enormous and forced into maturity by the infusion of Dynamax energy, forcing Snorlax onto their backs to support the massive objects now rooted in their fur. Though terrifyingly strong and literally the size of a mountain, they are effectively as immobile as one as well, their strength limited by the incredible mass of their bodies and associated materials. While this might only be a temporary state for them, the immense power that flows through them while in this state allows Snorlax to utilize a unique G-Max move known as G-Max Replenish, which takes the standard max strike attack and incorporates berry seeds into it that sprout into mature berries when exposed to the energy used in the attack, allowing these monsters as a whole to use their Dynamax power to the fullest to potentially keep themselves stocked up on held berries for as long as they can make the attack work to their favor in battle.
Though many might see them as lazy and unable to make much of themselves outside of eating and sleeping, the members of the Munchlax family are powerful beasts that can still fight back with considerable power when they need to get their bulk moving. You might find them a pain to obtain in any real way, especially if they have rest to constantly heal themselves, but they can be more than worth the hassle if one is willing to devote the time and energy needed to make them into dangerous contenders.
Just do yourself a favor and make sure to stock up on plenty of items and food before you decide to take care of one of these beasts. They might look cute as babies, but you may quickly find yourself broke and without much to eat after these beasts reach maturity and start literally eating you out of house and home, and potentially even the house itself. Thank you all for watching this video. It is always an honor to be able to speak with you all on the subject of Pokemon in a way that brings me great joy and happiness in my work. If you would like to keep tabs on past and future work, click that subscribe button, check out my work on DeviantArt, and don't be shy about following me on Twitter, where you can find pertinent announcements on upcoming work before it is officially posted. Links to both can be found in the video description. If you would like to support my work and help Miguel and I continue to produce more content for you and improve upon our presentation, please visit us at my Patreon page, which you can also find a link to in the video description.
No.
With that, I thank you for watching and I wish you well.